he is listening to you. So speak directly to the president. Go ahead.
Oh, my God. Well, hello, President Trump. You said I should live another 25 years when you put your arm around me at Mar-a-Lago. I hope you mean it because I can use another 25 minutes the way I feel. My feeling is this. Tillerson is misleading you. I have no idea why people don't see through that man. It seems to me that it's so plain that you don't have to be a genius to see what happened here. What does ExxonMobil gain if they cut Syria out of the gas lines that are running out of the Middle East to Europe? What does ExxonMobil gain by that, Alex? That's the whole story in a nutshell. It's another war for oil. It's all over again. It's the same thing as 1999. Remember when Bill Clinton was mercilessly bombing the Serbian people?
Yes. For the Muslims.
I wrote an article in 1999, the oily tracks run through Kosovo. It was a little noticed article. My heart was broken because Bill Clinton engaged in 78 of the worst days of my life until now.
Well, Ron Paul has come out and said it was a false flag chemical attack. The former top British ambassador has come out and said that it was a false flag attack. Peter Ford, he said now the jihadis will launch more false flags to draw Trump in. Vladimir Putin has come out and said it, but it hasn't gotten any attention like Michael Savage, best-selling author, probably the #1 or #2 talk show host in the United States, coming on the broadcast right now exclusively. In about an hour, he hosts his own broadcast, despite the fact he's under the weather. His new best-selling book, Trump's War, warns on page 233, Trump's war against the deep state, and he warns in the chapter, I read the book a month ago, of them trying to get him into wars. So that's why they call him Dr. Savage. I won't go into all of his degrees, medical degrees, you name it, but he exclusively joins us here, Zero Hedge. Drudge Report has it. Michael Savage turns on Trump, says Syrian gas attack was false flag. I don't think it's turning on Trump. It's warning Trump. Maybe I'm wrong, but CNN's saying he's turned on Trump. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I haven't gotten his total view on this, but Dr. Savage of michaelsavage.com, am I wrong to say you haven't turned your desperate...
Trump, that's the vermin in the left trying to divide and conquer once again. It's the garbage of the world in the media.
Absolutely.
The trash, the filth, the sludge. I never turned on Trump. Now, I don't know whether we can reach Trump. That's the problem. I don't know who he's listening to.
Well, I did talk to, let's just say, I did get what the president thought this week, and I'll tell you later. I know you just had dinner with him a few weeks ago, but let's just, you've got the floor, sir. So just roll this out. Why you're so concerned.
We're not the only ones who see this. Let's start with all the people you mentioned, but let's go the other way. Who is supporting this? The worst people on the planet are saluting Trump. Fareed Zakaria, Mr. Crazy Eyes, Lindsey Graham, the weirdest man in the history of the Senate, John McCain, the psycho, when he speaks, you could see insanity. They're all saluting Donald Trump. These are the people we hated before the election. These are the people we rejected during the election. Now they're on Trump's side, along with the crypto pseudo-conservatives in the radio business who hold themselves up as great conservatives who are screaming for war. Alex, the world is upside down. If you can keep your head while all those around you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, then you'll be a man, my son. One of the greatest lines ever written, something I've carried with me since I'm 18 years old. If you can keep your head while all those around you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, then you'll be a man, my son. Alex, we are being tested like we have never been tested before. I don't know how we come out of this because I don't know if Donald Trump is listening to a word anyone is saying to him other than this inner cadre around him. Somebody has turned him. Now, let's look at the big picture. In the period of only 1 week, because of a few propaganda photos of a terrible tragedy conducted by we don't know whom, the president has now launched wars and threatened wars against 3 nations, China, Russia, North Korea. But more than that, did you see, Alex, here's the strangest part of it all. For a smart man, why would he conduct these absurd limp-wristed missile strikes while the Chinese guests are sitting with him at Mar-a-Lago? Does anyone not understand protocol? Do they not understand diplomacy? Do they understand that's probably one of the greatest breaches of diplomacy I've ever seen in my lifetime? This was like saying to the Chinese, hello, small, stupid men with shiny heads. Are you enjoying my meal? Well, F you, because I've just launched missiles. Now what do you have to say about it?
I will agree. I will agree. It's very, very, very provocative.
Well, you're being more diplomatic than I, which is saying an awful lot. Maybe it's because I have the flu and I have a fever and I'm not thinking clearly.
No, you're thinking very clearly. In fact, every veteran I talk to, every person I talk to, I say 85% of the audience is absolutely freaked out about what's happening. And I'll tell you who, you know who he listens to. I'll tell you who Trump listens to. Late at night, they've taken his phone away. They only let negative stuff go on Twitter. He doesn't get any positive comments there. He would do feedback there. He listens to Michael Savage. He listens to InfoWars. He looks at Drudge Report. Probably more than us combined. Let's just say it. So,
Alex, hold on. How does he listen to me if I'm off the air?
He goes and finds clips on YouTube. I know for a fact. The point is that he does listen to you. I got a phone call this weekend from somebody. I'll just leave it at that, saying we're not going to do a no-fly zone. We're not going to have war. Rex Tillerson's going to come out and dial this back. Some people have been speaking on their own, and notice Tillerson's now done that. I said that Sunday. I said that Monday. It's now happened. I don't want to sit here and brag and try to sound big, but just he is listening to you. So speak directly to the president. Go ahead.
Oh, my God. Well, hello, President Trump. You said I should live another 25 years when you put your arm around me at Mar-a-Lago. I hope you mean it because I can use another 25 minutes the way I feel. My feeling is this. Tillerson is misleading you. I have no idea why people don't see through that man. It seems to me that it's so plain that you don't have to be a genius to see what happened here. What does ExxonMobil gain if they cut Syria out of the gas lines that are running out of the Middle East to Europe? What does ExxonMobil gain by that, Alex? That's the whole story in a nutshell. It's another war for oil. It's all over again. It's the same thing as 1999. Remember when Bill Clinton was mercilessly bombing the Serbian people?
Yes. For the Muslims.
I wrote an article. In 1999, the oily tracks run through Kosovo. It was a little-noticed article. My heart was broken because Bill Clinton engaged in 78 of the worst days of my life until now, where Bill Clinton mercilessly bombed Serbia. He blew up hospitals. He blew up train stations. He blew up every bridge on the Danube River for one reason, and that was to steal Kosovo from the Serbs, to permit an oil pipeline to run through Kosovo. What's even worse about that story is the same exact elements that are now on the side of war were on the side of war then. And the same sane people and rational people who cared for the stability of the earth, for the stability of their families, were against that insane act by Bill Clinton. I have not changed my position. It's the same exact thing. We cannot let crazed businessmen who put their bottom line ahead of the survival of the planet, and I'm talking about Rex Tillerson, to rule this nation. Did you vote for Rex Tillerson? Was
No.
his name on the goddamn ballot?
No.
Did you ever hear of that Cro-Magnon?
No.
Who ever heard of that throwback? Where did he come from? Where the hell did that throwback come from? That lowbrow. Looks like he crawled out of a pit somewhere.
Eddie Munster?
We can say all the things we want. I did not elect him to the presidency. I didn't kill myself for a year. I have total faith in Donald Trump. And I'll repeat right now what I said to him. I would do anything for that man. I have total faith in him. But I don't understand how he cannot see through all the president's men. They're misleading him. They're taking him down a road he cannot come back from.
Absolutely. That's what my...
Alex, if he loses you and he loses me, tell me what happens next.
That they'll destroy him, and he has to know that his base is upset. But let's expand on that. The British ambassador, I want to ask you this question, to Syria said, listen, it's not that Assad's perfect. We're on the side of al-Qaeda and ISIS. They're celebrating this. They're going to stage more stuff. They got caught in 2013. They got caught last year. It's official. They videotaped it. These jihadis want to be rock stars. They videotaped launching the chemical attacks. It wasn't sarin. It was chlorine gas because the doctors are taking care of them without gloves. And Putin has come out and said it's a false flag. And he says more is planned. And that's what the British ambassador and Putin, who are smart, are saying is, we don't want war. We want to de-escalate this. What are you going to do now, Trump, when the jihadis stage more stuff, this time in Aleppo or in the suburbs of Damascus, and then the right-wing, left-wing neocons, whatever you want to call them, rhinos, the warmongers like McCain and Graham, say, President, you've got to do something. They have painted him into a corner.
What more do you need to know than the crazy eyes of him? Let's look at the man with the craziest, most deceitful eyes in media.
Zacharias.
Zachariah. one of the sickest-looking faces I've ever seen. If you were to create a puppet of deceit and hatred for America, it would be Fareed Zakaria.
Yeah, Fareed Zakaria.
Congratulating Donald Trump. Lindsey Graham, one of the most twisted sisters in the history of the Senate, a totally twisted Nancy, is now encouraged by the Trump administration. John McCain, who looks like what he is, a totally sad, broken man, walking around like the puppet of the defense establishment, saluting him. And listen to this, Alex. Again, you don't have to be a genius to add up the pieces. All of the never-Trumpers, the Weekly Standard crowd, all the never-Trumpers are now saluting him. How is that possible? How did this happen? Who was advising our great president? I killed myself. I sacrificed my career to help the people go out, to help motivate the people who were not. See, here's the thing is, I got people who sat out elections to go out and vote for him.
I agree.
That's the whole point, and so did you. These are the people who gave up on the system a long time ago. We saw an outsider. Why did I push so hard for Donald Trump? I defined it in one of my books by saying, life with Trump, death with Clinton. I said, one thing alone amongst all is why I'm pushing for Trump, and that is we will not have a war with Russia.
Well, I'll say this, Mr. Savage, of michaelsavage.com and WorldNet Daily. Whatever happens here, you have children and grandchildren, I have children. We've proven we're moral. Look at the left cheerleading and Pelosi and all the usual suspects coming out, not just, Fareed Zakaria, not just George Soros, but all the usual suspects, the worst people like Chucky Schumer and all of them are praising him, sitting there when they want to destroy him. He's delivered on jobs, delivered on the border, delivered on $3 trillion in the stock market, done all these great things, and then his enemies come out and say this and do this. And I know you don't want to get into it and talk about it, but I read your book in full. I only read 2 chapters because I got it the day before you came on a month ago. Trump's war against the deep state. You called it. I mean, it's true. You said it'll be them trying to start a war, them trying to block him. That'll be his greatest test. That's the last chapter in your book, Trump's War, that everybody should read. Shame on the left, because if the left was really, cared, they're criticizing you and I don't know if you know this, on CNN last night and today, actually attacking us that we don't want a war and saying we're a bunch of un-American crap.
Well, let me say this to you. I have a chapter called Trump's War Against the War Machine in Trump's War. And I call it not a man of war. And I describe the liberal warmongers, the neocons, the war profiteers, and I give a battle plan. I was afraid this day might come. But it takes a strong man to make peace and a weak man to make war. It is not a mark of strength to go to war, especially when our military is depleted. Now, let's look at that. We all know the military is depleted. The president knows that. And now what? We're threatening China and Russia and North Korea at once? When half our planes on aircraft carriers are inoperable? What in the hell is going on here? Who is leading here? Who is making these decisions? I want to say something on a strictly commercial level. My book, Trump's War, became #1 on the New York Times bestseller list, Alex, with 0 appearance on Rupert Murdoch's Fox News. Never mind all of the other channels.
That shows the decline of their power.
Not only the decline of their power, Alex, I went on your show, Drudge linked it. That was all I needed. Why? I don't need a new car. I'm not looking to buy a new car. I'm looking to save the nation.
You want to change the world. You love your children just like I do. It fundamentally pisses you off. Exactly. And what does that tell you? I go on Fox. So they still had me on a few times. They wanted me to do a show and stuff. No response. I go on your show. You play a clip of my show. You have Paul Watson on. We get millions of people visiting the site. I know you get that with us because we're the real media. And here's the problem, Dr. Savage. Google has banned us off Google Ads. David Brock is bragging that they've got all these people boycotting all our sponsors. We've lost almost all of them. We thank God we sell our own products. And I'm not bitching to the audience, but here's the deal. Just like your book on China got banned from distribution, we are under attack. Do folks know that we have the big audience? We're fighting, and the listeners need to know we're not the types to whine, but my God, are we getting censored?
Alex, again, talking commercially, because a lot of people are listening who don't know these things. The ratings just came out in streaming radio shows. My show is #1 in the country beating the great Rush Limbaugh by a huge number.
On a bunch of platforms.
To Rush Limbaugh. Let's talk about him for a minute. How in the world does this man not understand what he sounds like?
It's very sad. Well, I tuned in the other day, and I thought he was saying he was against it. Then he said, I'm playing devil's advocate. Then he did an hour for it. And I don't want to, yeah. Go ahead.
Let's not even talk about him. It's sad to watch a clown like that fall off the high wire. Alex, what are we going to do to get our message across to Donald Trump? Does he even care what we have to say?
Let me tell you, he listens. The problem
why
is...
don't we ask him, if you have access? I don't. I live out in Nowhereville, way on the West Coast. No one cares what I think.
I guarantee you, if I tell Trump you want to meet him in Mar-a-Lago next weekend, quite frankly, I was with a family trip in Hawaii. I don't want to. The media goes crazy with this. I'm not going to get into it, but let's just say I could have gone. I just literally was family, and I couldn't do it. But believe me, sir, he absolutely loves you, and you know that. You already had dinner with him. If you want to go visit Trump, I mean, you can snap your fingers. I'll make a phone call, and it'll happen.
Well, I don't want to snap fingers. I would.
No, I don't mean that arrogantly. I'm just saying he'd love to meet with you.
I would love to visit him, not in Mar-a-Lago, but in the White House. That's what I would like to do. And I would fly across the country. I'm getting over the flu right now. I fought it off with my own nutrients, by the way. I haven't had the opportunity of taking yours. I'll tell you the truth. I can use some of that selenium right now. I'm pretty depleted. I feel like a depleted uranium shell.
You've been working hard at 75.
Depleted uranium shell, Alex. Look, people think this is a joke, and they think we do this just for effect.
It's gallows.
For books. Alex, I know listening to your show that your heart's in it, and anyone listening to me knows that my heart is in this. I don't know how to rescue the president from his advisors. Something went wrong, and it happened last week. There must be some way to sit down with him and say, please, Mr. President, please, in your vast array of people who you listen to, please listen to those who help make you what you are. We're not wrong. We're not crazy. We're not against you. Why are you listening to the never-Trumpers who are pretending they're for you now? They're leading you into a blind out of which you'll never return from.
And that's key. We're not asking for anything but freedom and not having war and lower taxes. We're not the sycophants that tried to destroy him, that he's tried to co-opt by giving power, and instead they're beginning to co-opt him. In fact, that's a key point, Dr. Savage, before we end this segment, I know you've got to go, is that he's just surrounded. They have all this national security stuff. They took his phone away. They did all this other stuff I'm not at liberty to get into. And he is.
What do you mean they took his phone away?
They took his cell phone away, claiming it would be a violation of national security. And I don't know why he let him do it, because that's what he used to call me on. Now if he calls people up, Priebus is on the phone. When Trump calls you now, Priebus goes, this is Reince Priebus. Alex, will you talk to Trump? Or Roger, it's Priebus. Will you talk? And then they sit there on the phone because he's the president. So, sir, we have to do this to make sure the Russians aren't doing it. And they even tried to keep me from the inauguration, telling Trump he's a Russian. They bully him with this. So I think he struck Syria so they stopped saying the Russia thing.
I can't go into what he did, but there's always a way out of something you do once you realize that it's not required to go down the road 100%. In other words, let's say it's done. What's done is done. For God's sake, stop beating the war drums. There are consequences to it. What I'm afraid of is, Alex, I could go on for another hour, which I will do when I'm on my own show, but World War II is very telling. We all hear that Japan attacked Pearl Harbor precipitously and without warning, that it was a sneak attack. People don't know the prelude to that. Japan had been starved for natural resources.
Cutting off their oil.
Cut off their oil. Pushed them up against the wall. They had been our ally before that. Now what do we want to do now? Turn Russia into our greatest enemy once we hit them with more sanctions and cut off their revenue source from oil?
When they're reforming.
Well, what do you think Russia's going to do, for God's sakes?
That's why the left is so angry. They're now a Christian nation. They hate it. In closing, since you said it, because you're an astute guy, obviously, Michael Savage, Dr. Michael Savage, michaelsavage.com, joining us. Let me ask you this question. What is it that happened last week? I know his daughter and others did come and put pressure on him. They said, you know, you've got to do this to show you're strong. I think Tillerson and others have kind of backed off the day off war drums. So I think what you're saying and others are saying is having an effect. But what do you think it was happened a week ago, Dr. Savage?
Oh, goodness, you're asking me. I don't know. I wasn't there. The president is a good-hearted man. That's the problem. I'm a soft-hearted man and a good-hearted man. So you show me a picture of 2 babies or 3 babies who were dead. Of course I'm going to have compassion for them. But now you connect it to someone who didn't do it, you might hit the wrong target. So before we act again, for God's sakes, let's look at the pictures all over again. Who did it? We don't know who done it. You know, I was the first one in the media to say it didn't look like sarin gas. I do have a PhD, by the way, partly in epidemiology from one of the great universities. A real doctorate. I'm the only one in the radio business who has any background in science.
That's right. Speak to that. I don't have degrees like you do, medical degrees, but you're right. I mean,
I'm not boasting, but it does come in handy when you're dealing with science illiterates in the media who don't even put 2 and 2 together. I was the first one to say, for God's sakes, wait a minute, all of these people, the first responders, are there without gloves, some of them in sandals, and it's supposed to be a sarin gas attack? They would be dead within minutes. That's number one. Number two, it didn't look like it was sarin gas. It did not look like a nerve agent. It looked like a chlorine-based agent, which doesn't make it any less ugly, but that means the whole story is a lie. From top to bottom, one last point, and I know we both have to go. On my show today, I have both Pat Buchanan, who is brilliant, agrees with us. I also have another man who agrees with us, who was one of the chief, his name is Lawrence Wilkerson. No one ever heard of him.
I've heard of him.
United States Army colonel. But he was chief of staff to Colin Powell during the 2003 false flag invasion of Iraq.
The fake anthrax reports.
Thank you. Wilkerson says this is another repeat of Iraq all over again. The same exact story.
Oh, Michael, we got 30 seconds left, but they already have ground troops on the ground in Syria. The media then says that's a conspiracy theory, even though a month ago they admitted Marines, artillery, Army. This is crazy. In 20 seconds, closing comment, Michael Savage.
I pray for Donald Trump. He's our only chance. It's why we all work so hard for him. I pray to God he understands that we're all fighting the same war as he is. But his greatest war right now is a war for the truth. And I hope to God if he hears this message, Alex, he will listen to Alex Jones and Michael Savage to stop the war before it gets worse.
He is doing it. You're live in 30 minutes at michaelsavage.com and stations across the country. Michael, let me say bye to you in the break. I know you have the flu. Thank you for the exclusive. We'll be back with calls straight ahead. Stay with us. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say, see, I told you so, that communist Chinese-style net censorship was coming to the web, because it's already here. It's being announced. The way you keep the internet open and free is you get involved more than ever. Go to Infowars.com/app. A new battleship in the fight. Infowars Live, available right now. We're looking for a crew to man it. You gonna sit down and play games and be a trendy? Or are you gonna be part of history? Don't sit by and let the internet and free speech be stolen from you. Take action.